Secretary of State Marco Rubio has met with Japan's Foreign Minister Toshimitsu Motegi on the sidelines of this morning summit between Trump and Takeichi. Both sides have now reaffirmed their commitment to strengthening the US-Japan alliance, and during bilateral talks, Japan's foreign minister has stated that the summit between the two leaders earlier today was productive and friendly. Listen in.
本日午前の日米首脳会談は、高市総理と、トランプ大統領との間で、非常に和やかで、そして充実した、議論ができたと思っております。キー長官との間でもですね、世界で最も偉大な同盟であります日米同盟を世界に示すべく、緊密に連携し
Returning the sentiment, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has emphasized that U.S. and Japan continue to share common security interests and that both countries are aiming to modernize their relationship in order to face emerging challenges in technology and cybersecurity as well. Supply chains in light of global volatilities is another crucial common concern. Listen in.
Today we signed a number of agreements. The president signed with the prime minister, but all of these negotiations and talks and trade deals and partnerships on critical minerals are all built on a very powerful foundation, which has been laid over the decades between our two countries. The foundation, economic foundation, very strong, has long been one of the largest, if not the largest in many cases, investors in the U.S. economy. Partnerships that we had on a number of business fronts has been extraordinary.
This comes, of course, as U.S. President Donald Trump and Japanese Prime Minister Takeichi have signed a framework agreement during the summit earlier. The agreement focuses on mining, processing and developing fair markets through coordinated investments and economic policies as well. Still with us on the broadcast is Professor Stephen Nagy. Interesting development, because what's also cropped up is rare earths and sourcing common alternatives for rare earths. We do know that these minerals are very precious, especially when it comes to manufacturing electronics and defense equipment as well. China, on the other hand, has imposed restrictions on rare earth minerals. They have in fact retracted that number to, I believe, 12 out of 17 minerals as of now. The US has, in the meantime, threatened to impose 100% tariffs over and above the 30% that already exist. So in light of that, as well as the upcoming summit, how crucial is this particular aspect, this particular element of the agreement that has now come to fruition between Japan and the United States?
Well, as I mentioned before, President Trump's visit has been timed in a sequential manner to demonstrate that the Americans are part of the region, that they have a strong relationship with ASEAN. They've dealt with a more challenging diplomatic partner, Malaysia, visited Tokyo, and then South Korea, of course. This is meant to demonstrate that, again, the United States is working with its partners to not only secure rare earth materials in terms of mines and other areas, but again, to work together in terms of technology to be able to process these rare earth materials, to remove China's stranglehold from this very critical resource. Without free and open access to rare earth materials, but also the processing facilities, it will be very difficult for the United States, Japan, and like-minded countries, including India, for them to produce the kind of defense equipment that allows them to remain on the vanguard of security, on the vanguard of defense, and again, being the most powerful partnerships in terms of security and defense. This is going to continue to be the play that the Americans work with Japan and other partners. I expect them to continue to expand the number of partners that are working in the rare earth field because it's so critical. And again, China has weaponized rare earth materials as a negotiating tool with the United States to try and reduce tariffs that have been placed on the United States to recalibrate trade relations.
Indeed, and there are investments that have also been announced by Japan in the United States of America, which amount to about $550 billion US. This covers shipbuilding, increased purchases of US soybeans, gas, and vehicles. The United States And the Trump administration in particular has been very concerned about the exports of its soybeans. China has, of course, trained its sights on Argentina. On the other hand, majority of Trump's voter base is from the Midwest, which grows these soybeans. Do you think that Japan, with this pledge now, would be an alternative market?
So Japan is a small market compared to China. Let's be realistic. China is 10 times bigger in terms of population and demand for these kinds of goods. But again, Japan investing $550 billion is not pocket change. It represents the two economies forming a kind of a synergistic bond in which Japan provides some investment that helps make America great again. This is going to continue to be the process that the United States rebuilds its economy and rebuilds its industrial might. It really is fundamentally transforming its economy, its diplomacy, in a way that the best metaphor is the same way it transformed everything after 9/11 to deal with terrorism. It's transforming every aspect of its industrial might, its defense complex, and its partnerships to deal with the challenge of authoritarian states, in particular the pacing challenge of China. Expect more investments, but expect more smart investments that help the Japanese make Japan great again, that help make America great again at the same time.
One final question. We're just getting a reaction from China. China's foreign ministry has stated that the development of US-Japan relations and security cooperation should contribute to regional peace and stability. In fact, their spokesperson, Go Jae-kyun, has urged Japan to respect the security concerns of its neighbors as well. This is a very pointed message to Japan ahead of the APEC summit, the Trump-Xi meeting, which is on the anvil as well. What are your expectations, and how do you think China will now approach this particular meeting in light of what we've witnessed in Tokyo?
So let's be realistic and quite honest. Japan is not threatening anybody in the region. Its relations with South Korea have continued to improve. Its relations with Southeast Asian countries continue to demonstrate that Japan is one of the most trusted partners with Southeast Asia. And when we look at other partners, India, there couldn't be a better relationship. Europeans trust Japan and the United States trust Japan. Let's be clear, Japan is not a threat to anybody within the region, and China's comments are expected. It's expected that they'll continue to criticize deepening Japan-US partnership within the region. At the same time, I think we should be very clear, in the South China Sea, the country that is causing the most stress for Southeast Asian countries is China. Ask the Filipinos, ask the Vietnamese, ask the Indonesians. Ask the Malaysians. Across the Taiwan Strait, again, it's not Taiwan that is threatening China. It's China building a military-industrial complex to take back Taiwan by force if necessary. In this sense, what China says really does not play out in facts, and I think most countries within the region agree with Japan's expanded defense posture and its cooperation with the United States, and they would like to anchor the United States into the broader Indo-Pacific region.
All right, so with that, I'd like to thank you for taking our time and, of course, sharing your insights with us. Meanwhile, we're also learning that U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has called for a sound monetary policy with Japan during his meeting with Japan's Finance Minister Satsuki Katayama. The statement from the U.S. Treasury Department comes just ahead of the Bank of Japan's two-day policy meeting that is due to end on Thursday. Now, according to the United States Treasury Department, Bessent has stressed the importance of strong monetary policy formulation and clear communication in order to help stabilize inflation expectations. These talks could further help avoid excessive volatility in the currency markets. Interestingly, Bessent has also noted that Japan's economic conditions in the current times differ significantly from the era of former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe's quote-unquote Abenomics policies, which he introduced over a decade ago. These remarks have caused a brief strengthening of the yen and have raised expectations that Washington may continue to pressure Tokyo to tighten its monetary policy even quicker. Meanwhile, viewers, shifting focus to more news coming in from Japan. Japan's former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe's alleged killer has now pled guilty 3 years after the assassination in broad daylight. Tetsuya Yamagami, aged 45, admitted in court to assassinating Abe with a handmade firearm during a campaign speech in July 2022. Meanwhile, Yamagami acknowledged the killing. His lawyer indicated they may contest certain charges related to arms control violations. Yamagami's alleged motive stems from Abe's ties to the Unification Church, whose extreme demands left Yamagami's family financially ruined. He reportedly blamed Abe for supporting the group, linking his personal grievance directly to the assassination. Now, probes have exposed deep links between Unification Church and ruling party lawmakers, prompting 4 ministers to resign. This year, Tokyo's court ordered the church's Japanese arm dissolved, citing unprecedented damage to society. Shifting focus away from East Asia towards South Asia, we're now learning that